Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss The Mummy's Tomb, starring Lon Chaney Jr., Dick Foran, Turner Bay, Elise Knox, John Hubbard, George Zuko, and Wallace Ford, and directed by Harold Young. Let's just get right into this, shall we? Because I just want to just tell you what my feelings are for this movie. Stephen Banning, returned by Dick Foran, tells the story of what happened last movie to his son John, played by John Hubbard, John's fiancée Isabel, played by Elise Knox, and her mother Mrs. Knox. And back in 1942, it's an easy way to catch the audience up, but in 2020 it's kind of useless to show from the last film as a reminder of what happened previously. It's like an episode of a TV show recapping what happened last week on The Mummy. And honestly, if it was 1942, it would work, but it's not 1942. It's 2020. So I was having that many problems with this as an opening in general. The Mummy, played by Lon Chaney Jr., is resurrected by Mehmet Bey, played by Turhan Bey, and walks around. Meanwhile, Stephen goes to sleep and is killed by the Mummy, which did catch me by surprise, but when the Mummy moves, I thought he walks like Frankenstein. But when the Mummy moves... Oh, wait, I already said that. He walks like Frankenstein would. But when I get to the ending... Oh, I thought a whole lot about Frankenstein. But I'll get there. And John wants to find what killed his father. And I said that because he didn't see the Mummy at the time. And he does this detective work when the sheriff doesn't do anything about it. And that's when the movie loses me at this point, at the 30-minute mark. And this, because it's an hour-long movie, I've got 30 more minutes to go, and I can't decide if this is a bad movie or the middle of the road, because I'm having kind of a better time here than in The Mummy's Hand, but maybe. I don't know. Babe Hansen, returned by Wallace Ford, goes to the sheriff, and he doesn't believe him, the sheriff doesn't, and goes to a reporter. And people hear the story at the bar, and finally the sheriff gets off his ass to go to High Street. And I thought you didn't believe Babe. Why do you believe a random citizen? Which, that didn't make sense to me whatsoever. Mehmet Bey sends the Mummy to go after Isabel, and the Mummy captures her, and John goes after the Mummy with a mad crowd, and the Mummy goes in a house while the mob is flame torches. And this is where I got Frankenstein, because the mob goes after the monster and with the torches and burns the house down with the monster inside, and John does rescue Isabel, and Mehmet Bey gets shot and dies. And I thought, how much more Frankenstein does this really need to be? Like, this wants to copy it, as this climax did sound familiar, but this didn't feel like a Mummy film. It felt like a Frankenstein movie, for crying out loud. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.2 out of 10. There were a lot of similarities with Frankenstein, but done badly, but I did enjoy being around the characters despite they don't have much to do, and that's a shame. There were things I felt didn't make much sense in the script, but at the end of the day, it's not a Mummy film. It felt like the world of Frankenstein, which is why I'm giving it the rating I am at this point. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with another Mummy show. I don't remember the name of it, but until next time, it's time to shoot the Mummy.